Hi, Carol here. A warm welcome to my craft room. Well, you can see right here, I was going to begin this tutorial doing a calligraphy brush lettering time with you. So I got out my We Are Memory Keepers T-square, but it needed batteries, of course. Now, I've never used this. I got it out of the box, and I had the batteries plugged in, but one of them wasn't working. That's the top one. Now the side of the T-square was working, so that was fabulous. But I thought, you know what, I really do want to use this in a tutorial. And as you know, everything goes with things, you end up needing two batteries and you only have one. And I think it's a 9-volt. I mean, I didn't have 9 volts hanging around the house. I only had one. So I thought, okay, that's all right. Don't get discouraged here, Carol. Grab some paper and we will do some acrylic painting. So this beautiful book, I have used it, you can see here, on some occasions. Look how thick that paper is. I started looking for paper to do a bokeh technique that I saw on, I was inspired by Painting with Jane. Now this, I think, is my third tutorial with Painting with Jane. Jane has an amazing channel. You will really love it. I'll leave the link. She did a Christmas acrylic painting, and I turned that painting that I viewed into Christmas cards. And here I'm looking, okay, I'm going to need some paper to do this with. This was mixed media paper, so I went to my stash, as you can see, and I'm thinking, okay, what do I have here? No, we don't want watercolor paper. I'm doing acrylics. And I was just inspired, actually, to think, oh, there's tear-off palette paper that my sister always picks me up and brings it over to me. Thanks, Barb. And I haven't opened it, of course. So I thought, you know, I'm going to do this. Oh, this is acrylic paper. Now, this is fantastic paper, and it has the small and the large sheets, and it keeps your acrylic paint wet. And so does this spongy thing, and it comes with that right there, the Stay Wet. Oh yes, I don't lack for supplies of doing projects. I lack the time, as we all do, to do everything you'd love to do. But there it is. I found my canvas pad, and this is wonderful. It's just like you're working on a canvas, only the wood's not there. It's 9 by 12 inch sheets. And I thought, oh, put everything away. Let's get started. I'm going to do a canvas, but I'm going to do 6 cards. And I say 6 because I'll tell you the first, I'm just showing you this canvas pad. I'm going to share with you, I did 3 6 by 6 Christmas cards, but I also did the inside that you could do another Christmas card. So it's 6 Christmas cards in one if you wanted to replicate what I'm doing here. And I think you will. Painting with Jane, she just really does inspire me on some of her work. I don't get the opportunity to really view all of her paintings, but I do view a few, and what I see, I generally, if I like it, I end up being so inspired that I do a card with it, or a painting. I've done 2 paintings, and so here we go. I cut it out to make, it's 9 by 12, so I cut them out to be 6 by 6. So I left the 12 inches long, and I'm going to cut it in 4, but I do need to add some gesso to the canvas. This is like working with an original canvas. It's the paper, you know, it's the canvas end of it. And I needed to get out some colors here. I'm looking to see what Jane had on her painting, and I took out my acrylic paints that I had, some of them, and I decided to do that first card with the inspiration to her painting, the first card. And then I went on to do 2 other cards that have the same inspiration, just a different look. And I think you're going to love it. And it's for beginners. You're going to be able to do this. There isn't anything difficult with doing this. And it's a bokeh. I mean, a bokeh technique. So I grabbed a 1/2 inch normal. This is just, you know, you get 12 of them in a pack. You can see the hairs come off of the brush. You get these at your hardware store, but they come in handy when you're doing something like this. So I am using my gesso, and I'm going to put a coat of it on here. And this is so funny, I had to keep it in the edit. Look at it curl up. I literally started fighting with it as it was drying. Look, it's there. No, 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 hang on, please, don't curl all up. I have to finish gessoing you. So I'll show you what I did to remedy this and what you should do before you begin, or you're going to end up with something exactly like this. So I grabbed my heat gun, and I am just heat setting it enough that I can start over before I start the bottom one and tape these down with double-sided tape. And you get this double-sided tape at any stationery store. I put it on this mat that I had, and I thought, oh, should I put this painter's tape? It wouldn't stick because of the gesso. So I went for the double-sided tape, and I put about 100 pounds of it underneath there. Yeah, and looky, yes, it will stay down long enough for me to get the gesso on both pieces, and it'll dry, and then we're going to put black paint over top of that before we begin our actual painting, our bokeh painting. The first thing you're going to notice, of course, is my long tutorial, and the reason it is an hour and a half long is I did 6 cards. 6 possibilities for 6 actual cards. If you don't do the inside of your cards, you can get inspiration from the inside of these cards, because I did them like you could reverse. You could actually turn the card over and use the inside as your outside. Yes, it's one of those type tutorials. And thank you, Jane, for always being so inspirational on your painting tutorials. I will leave a link to the other tutorials I did with the inspiration from Jane that you can check out at the end of this video. So here we go. I am putting out some Mars Black, and this is golden Mars Black, and it's the artist grade. And then I'm going to go over the dry gesso. Make sure your gesso is dry. And I put it out on this beautiful porcelain egg container. Remember I bought that last year? Got it at a little shop in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And I think I picked up 2 of them. They're wonderful. Just the perfect size for your paints to go in. Very easy cleanup because it is porcelain. And I just thought I'd show you that in case you're out shopping somewhere and you see an egg excuse me. Ooh, oh no, I've got to clean his feet. If it's not glue, it's paint. He just loves to get involved with that sort of thing. So anywho, yes, let's move along. If you watch my videos, you know our little doggy stops by. Whether I'm working with glue or paint, he likes to get his little paws in there. So here we go. I'm going to pick out some brushes. Doesn't matter what brushes you use. You know, whether you use a good brush. Oh, here I'm just looking for the middle so that I can cut them 6 by 6. So once the black is dry, easy peasy to slice off. As you can see, this canvas paper is scrumptious, beautiful to work with. And then I took out a black Copic marker to go over the edges. Yes, instead of the paint, I didn't want to have to wait for it to dry, so this worked out very well for me to go over the outsides, because this is our focal point of the cards. I did 4 of them. 3 of them turned into cards, but I needed to have 4, and I'll show you why. I loved creating these cards. I truly did. I love to paint, and if you love to paint, or you're a beginner and you want to try it out, this is a video that if you go over on Jane's tutorial, very easy instructions Just wonderful instructions from Jane. And I hope you're inspired here. So I got out the grandbaby of my Xyron cutter and I ran it through so that I don't have to worry about using liquid glue to put this down on the card base. And I hadn't decided what colors I was going to use. And then I didn't want to waste any space, so I put some 140-pound cardstock on the side where I had room. And that's where I'm going to use those because they're glued. I'll use it for sentiments and run it through my small die cutter, Xyron cutter. So here we go. We're starting with number 1. Now I don't know if you remember, I got this at Michael's. It was like mega expensive, like to start out with, but I ended up getting it, I think, for that whole great big, don't you love it when I say fur, F-E-R instead of for? Yeah, so anyway, I ended up getting all those circles, which are sticky on the one side. It's plasticky. Don't you love my terminology? Here I'm adding some acrylic medium so that it'll stretch my acrylic paint a little farther along. So I decided I'm going to leave all the colors on my blog, okay, for you. Because this is so long, I really didn't have time after the edit to put all of the color names. But I got these acrylic paints from Michael's. You get a set of 140 or 160, and then you use your 40% coupon. I used my 50% coupon. Then I had a 20% on your total order. So I was able to get this big box of acrylic paints at Michael's last year. And I rarely get to dig into them. So this was really exciting to be able to, other than the Mars Black and the Titanium White, and then I used Winsor Newton Gouache, white gouache. So it's zinc white that I used later on. But for now, you're just going to coat over top of the black, because in Jane's tutorial she had a black canvas. So I did the canvas with the gesso, then the black paint, the black golden. You can use any acrylic paint here. It doesn't have to be super expensive. Just as long as it's acrylic paint, it'll do the job. So what I did, I started in the left-hand lower corner to be light. And then I just made the rest of it to darken up so that you could see the Christmas bulbs when I put it on. You don't want it all to be bright, so that's why I added some of the Mars Black to the canvas, or to the colors that I put on the canvas, just to darken it up a bit. And seriously, I did the blues because that's what I saw Jane do on her canvas. So I thought, okay, I'm going to follow this, and then I'll break away once to do my own thing after I move along. And you will see on my tutorial with doing cards and Jane's tutorial, it is similar, but you get to put your own style on your work, which is really nice. You get inspiration and then you run with it and follow it. You can follow it verbatim and just, try to get it as close as you like, or you can just have the concept of it and then make it your own. Either or. It's wonderful. And I encourage you to watch Jane's tutorial, because I think you will really love making cards from that canvas, or an actual canvas. Get out a canvas and practice with this bokeh effect. And I think I have a few Christmas cards, or a few paintings I did bokeh on back in the day, a few years back, maybe 4 years ago. And it's super easy and super duper fun. After I got the mess cleaned up, I put some paper towels out, and I wanted to show you the difference. How the lower bottom left is darker, and each one has its own personality in the actual 6x6 card base. So I wanted to get out some, to make the bokeh circles. I'm going to show you some of the ideas that I did on tutorials, that I did back in the day. And all you need is something round, or you can do as Jane did and use your paintbrush to make circles. It's not that difficult. And then I was in Michael's one time and they had this big bag of Martha Stewart sponges with the holders like this, and a whole big bag I think was $4 or something. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put that away because this will come in handy, especially the sponges. And I got it out. I saw it in my stash. And I thought, this is going, excuse me, I have a really bad sore throat. So anyway, moving right along, what's new, right? So I grabbed some water in my water well up in the upper left and 2 mason jars, a smaller one and a large one. And as soon as they get muddy, I change the water. I like to work with clean water. So I took, I'll encourage you to do this, have a piece of cardstock off to the side to practice. If you're going to use a paintbrush, it's good to get the feel of making a circle with it. I had to do that. I probably did 20 of them before I started on the actual painting to just get it down. And yeah, this is to show you that I did it with the paintbrush. Why does it have a B on it? I don't know. I have to figure that one out. That's different. And then here's the little sponges. We're just going to tap, tap, tap and twist it around. And you can fix it up with your paintbrush before you start dipping it into your paint. And I used a glass plate here to put the paints on because it was real easy to pick it up off the glass and put it onto the canvas. So here we go. I'm just making some bokeh circles. I love this effect. I really do. It just has a special individuality, if I can use that word, of standing out. You know, you can't go wrong with making bokeh. I think it comes from a camera term of the lens making all of these circles. And I think it's beautiful. I really do. And you can grab a pencil end with the eraser. I'm going to show you that. Stick, if you have some sticks like I'm using here with the ends. And I'm making the smaller ones, but I am taking a small paintbrush to clean it up. And what's beautiful about this, you can go right over top. Look at that. You don't have to worry. You don't need perfection when doing a bokeh technique. If it resembles a circle, you're in. Yeah, keep that in mind as you're doing this. It just has to resemble a planet, a round planet there out in beautiful space. Look at that. I know I'm using a filbert brush. I think it's a number 2. It's a rather small paintbrush, but anything will work. A round brush will work, whatever's comfortable in your hand that makes a circle, just go for it. But I chose the smaller filbert, and then I think I move up to a larger filbert brush. And then I'm pretty sure I went to my watercolor brushes and I used some of them. Now I stuck with keeping the water pretty close to me so that some of these bokeh circles, we'll call them bokeh circles, I wanted them to be see-through, you know, get that effect of more like glass. Now, if you don't want to water down your acrylics, you can always add, I added Claudine Helmuth, the extra time slow dry medium, and it's by Ranger. And I got it for $2.99. It was regular $6.49, so you can catch them online for a good price. You add it to your acrylic paint and it stretches your paint out. It is kind of a Vaseline type look to it. I can't say that it's not sticky. It just has a wonderful texture to it that I love. So that once again is the Claudine Helmuth Studio. It's extra time slow dry medium. It slows down the process, the drying process, so that you can go over things. And here's these sticky circles that I got at Michael's. I look at, when I go to the big box stores, I look in this clearance, sales. I'm always in the sales. And these circles, I didn't know what I was going to use them for at the time. Here I'm just showing you. I did the funniest thing. if you're going to do 4 or 3 cards, it's nice to set them up and then just pounce one, 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 you know, have it like assembly line. But I didn't. This is the only time I practiced on another sheet. You can see my cardstock beside me, but I actually thought, why aren't I doing that? Why aren't I taking it, you know, over and filling in? And I'll tell you why I didn't, because I wanted them to be individual paintings. I didn't want them to have the same look, and I thought if I put them side by side, I'm going to end up, I know how I work, I'll end up stamping it in the same spot, and then they all look the same, and I didn't want to do that. So that's why I did them separately. So here we go. Grab whatever you have. An eraser is really good to use pouncing down some bokeh circles. Your paintbrush. I had that pink, you know, that round thingy that you use so you don't burn your hands there. I used that. I had this pencil here. Can't remember what they call those things. It's right in front of me, I'll tell you. It's a China marker, a white one. You know, you pull it and it all pulls apart so that you can get the pencil part at the bottom. If that makes any sense. But I ended up going and getting a white watercolor pencil, and I used that to make the circles, because what's really nice about the watercolor, you're not going to see the white through this. You couldn't hear either, but it was pointier for me. I could just run it through my pencil sharpener, make a nice point, and then, you know, grab whatever you have for different circles. You know, a plate, saucer, a lid that you have around, any type of bottle lid. You can make 3 different size circles. That's all you need to have an outline. And put them right over top of your bokeh circles. Don't put them separate. That's the fun part of doing this. I was so excited to see this on Jane's channel. Her do a full painting and turn it into Christmas cards. I really enjoyed it. I could have done more, but time, you know, I thought I did 3 and then 3 of the inners, and that made 6 cards. You can make 6 separate cards out of the designs I used here if you so choose to do. Oh, excuse me. This is the inspirational card. This is what the painting looked like, you know, similar to Jane's, was this design here. And I was so, I don't know, inspired. I couldn't stop. I wanted to use different colors. I wanted to experiment with a red, and I wanted to experiment with a metallic, peacock pearl it's called. And here's my gouache. I put some gouache. You can see, like, gouache is, I love using gouache because it, I don't know, I'm going to use 2 of them here. I'm going to use the acrylic, and then I'm going to show it to you in the gouache. That's the gouache. See the difference? The gouache is not transparent at all. I mean, you can add water and make it transparent. Here, I can't tell you what I'm using here. I think I stuck with the acrylic right away, and I used the gouache to do the brush lettering. We shall see. Lots of water and lots of pouncing down with a paper towel to get that effect of it looking like glass, like see-through. And you can see that if I don't like the look, all I do is add more water, pounce it, and start over. Just start over until you feel like it's something you're satisfied with. And like I said, the filbert is what I'm using here, but any paintbrush, your water brushes, you know, your the water paintbrushes that you have water in would work with this. I did use it. I think you'll see it as I got more experimental. Yeah. And I went right over this bokeh circle, so it looked like you could see through it and see right to that white circle there. And isn't the bokeh effect so beautiful? It really is. And then I drew straight lines up because these bulbs are going to be hanging. Then I made 2 spotlights on there, and you can see the canvas, can't you? And then I decided to take a fine paintbrush and go over it with the gouache, with adding some water. Now, yeah, I think on the next Christmas card that I do, the next bulb, I end up grabbing my white gel pen, you know, my the pen I always use here, and it worked wonderfully. I'm just grabbing it here, my Uniball Signo Broad. Wow, did that ever show up on the white acrylic paint? It really did. I mean, the gouache are going to get it. Look how nice and bright it is. But it's quite thick looking. But I used an extra fine paintbrush. I experimented with different thin paintbrushes. And, you know, if you like your black velvet brushes, use those. All kinds here. I'm using the white marker just to draw out my designs, just to see if I like it, because if I didn't, I'd do another design, you know, and it's not as hard to get rid of as the gouache paint. So here I'm just adding some little stars, just experimenting on here. That's the beauty of making it. Oh, I had to redo that one. See what I mean? I had to take it off. It just didn't look right. I wanted to have when you make a star, you want the top part of your star. If the bulb is turning and you want it to look like it's round, I'll show you here. Make the upper part smaller and the strokes on the downside longer. And then it gives you the effect that the ball has, it's bulbous, you know. So now we're going to move on. I'm going to just leave it there for now. I think I end up designing it a bit more. You can see that I did grab a different brush here. And it's an inexpensive brush. I know that. I can tell just by... No, it isn't actually. It's just that I left it in water and the wood came off. I left it in the water too long. One night I think I was doing some painting and I left it in the water and then it chipped the wood on there, and you don't want to do that. So here we go. I switched up the brush again. I mean, I'm going from the filbert, then I'm going to a round, whatever feels comfortable in your hand, that's what you use. Add your water or add your slow dry medium to your paint, and it'll just make your paint go twice as far. And here you want to make your little spots, your sunspots. And then I go on to just make some designs on there. You can practice like I do with that paper alongside me to see how I like it. And if I don't, I just take it off just like that. Water, yep, that was too thick. So I took it off and started over. And that's the thing about doing cards, I guess, opposed to having a stand-up canvas. You're working on a smaller surface and it's right in front of you there, so you get to play around with the erasing and things. And here's a couple of designs I decided to do on there, and I changed it up so much, it was crazy. I really like just doing the X on there, but you know, that's the beauty of using acrylic paint. If you grab it right away and you put the water over top, you can get it off there. And even if you use your a knife, you know, your cutting knife, you can scrape some of it off if it's thicker to get it off. There are so many things. If you start to panic, you just grab what's all around you, your supplies, and see what works. And that's what I do when I'm sitting here and I'm trying to take off, add to. I just look at what's around me and say, oh, will that work? You know? And here I'm adding the toppers onto my bulbs. And yeah, all have a different design. Yeah, water brushes. See, I went right into the water brushes. I like because they seem to be stiffer. They're more firm than a paintbrush for some reason. I really love the feel of a water brush. So that's why I switched up. I just wanted you to be inspired with what you have around. And like I've always said, you don't have to have expensive products to have fun creating. You need to just have the time and the initiative to sit down and practice and be satisfied with what comes out when you're doing it. And totally, this is a satisfying project for Christmas cards. It really does take no time at all to move from one card to the next card once you have the experience of testing out the products that you're working with, and then everything seems to just flow. And here I'm just taking an extra fine brush and making some more squiggly lines and just playing with it and having fun. I really do like this bokeh technique in the background when you're doing all circles, right? And this is the smaller. It's really funny. I have to jump in there in here and say how you get the first bulb done and you kind of sigh this relief because you find out it's not that stressful. It really is fun. Then you go on to the second bulb and things go a little quicker, and then by the time you get to the next one, you're just going like crazy. It's just like, whoa, yeah, if I had any more room, I'd put a couple of more on there. But yeah, so here I really love the way that the bulbs hung with kind of like the look of glass beads, It's so pretty. And you just make up, I did, 3 little dots, 1 big dot, 4 squares, and 1 circle. Anything, make it your own. Just have fun with it. I took the ruler, I tried to get it as straight as possible. And I think I'm using the gouache here. But I did have that Sukaniko. If you see me using that, it's all-purpose ink. And it's called 72 Frost White. And it's made by Sukaniko. And it is a wonderful product to get this beautiful frosty white look. I did the hanging, the bulb is hanging on there. I went over the white and put it in the actual ink, the frost white ink. So here I'm just making some more lines for the beads to come down. And isn't that pretty? And really, it's not a lot of work. This is where I tried out the white gel pen. I'm just making it run. Sometimes it dries up if you haven't used it for a bit. So just grab a piece of paper. And another thing I would suggest, if the paint is not dry, to have a paper towel for your arm to rest on, so that you're not taking the paint and putting it over onto another project. And you know how I know that, because I experience everything going wrong before I get it to go right. And here I was making little wee tiny beads, like little dots, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to experiment with doing larger circles, make some of them go right over top of this beautiful glass bulb, so that the bead is over top of it, and it just seems to bring that glass bulb alive. And keep in mind, this is the first card, this is the first practice run, and it really does, the canvas cuts beautifully. I love Fiskars. And then I'm going to set that aside. I do come back to it. Here's my palette. I went to the golds, the black. I had 3 different hues of gold, just in the Deco Art, I think it is. And that's not an expensive paint either. I try to encourage people that work with what you have. Make what you have work for you. And it just seems to be so much more fun when I think it takes the joy and the fun out of it if you think you have to wait to get more expensive product. So I just encourage you to use what you have. Here I did have the red, but I thought I want to incorporate some black. And I don't think there's another color. I know that famous artists, they would do their paintings with red as their base, and then they would go on top of the red. I think I read that somewhere. Get it? I think I read it somewhere. But yeah, so experiment. Put the red down. If you don't like it, go over top of it with another color. And it really does cover up well, you know. And I thought the silver, the gold, and the red, I was experimenting with it. I wanted to go over top of the white. And you can see here that my circles are all not perfectly round. You know, I'm struggling with this one, you can tell. Put some of the circles off your page. We all know this. I don't think it's anything new that I have to explain, especially if you like to paint and experiment with painting. Here I went to my Prisma pencil and I put a nice point on it. You can see how fine that is. It's really nice. And then I just chose where I wanted to have these wonderful sticker round things. It reminds me of when I was young and you had those boards, you know, those white boards, and you had your doll. They stuck just like that circle did. You have your dolls and your dresses will go over top and it would all stick to the whiteboard. It just brought back such memories of working with that. And here, let me just jump in here. You can see I'm using a flat brush and I'm getting a little more relaxed at making a circle with the paintbrush. So that's nice. And you know, if it doesn't look like a circle, make it a larger circle. Just go outside of it until you are satisfied with the look of what you're doing. And you can tell right here with this with this red. I don't think this acrylic paint, I think it's from the squeeze out ones I got at Michael's there. But it doesn't matter. You can go on top of it. I wanted to not make it so translucent, so see-through, you know. So I was adding quite a bit of layers of red, and I just love the look. I brought these down to my husband, and I asked him which card he liked better of the three, and right away, he didn't even hesitate. He loved the red. He said it just seemed to, you know, catch the eye. So, you know, to each his own. The clear one, I liked the clear one, the first one that I had done. But I liked the brush lettering better on the red. Yeah. So, you know, you're brush lettering over top of acrylic paint. But I have some good news for you. If you're using the white pen, you know, the broad tip, you can erase it with an eraser on top of acrylic paint. So that is really good to know. I did that. That was just experimenting. You know, I took the white eraser and I said, oh, I can't, you know, I could have painted over it. I could have, but I take the risk of seeing through it when you're going to do more brush lettering. So I just took the white eraser and lo and behold, it just came off. It was wonderful. I even took some of it off with my cutting knife. So experiment. I always tell you that it works for me. I don't tell you, I just kind of explain to you that I love to experiment with what I have around me. So here you can see I'm kind of bending my wrist and trying to get that circle to look like a circle. I have to say I love this canvas paper. I'm going to leave it on my blog. I tried to link up everything for you. And that's another thing I want to explain. I don't put it over on my blog right away. So it takes me some time to look up all the products and then link them over to you. And so if you don't see it on my blog right away, it's because I'm working on it. Yeah, so here's the gold. Oh yes, it's raining gold. And I love the different hues. Isn't it nice? To the left you have the dark deep gold, and then you have the medium gold, which I'm using here. And then you have the nice warm gold on the upper left. So pretty. And I like using this slice little glass mat there, the little glass square thingy. It worked out really well. And here I'm changing up the colors. This is where I wanted to use the peacock color of metallic paint. It's Deco Art. I'm pretty sure it's Deco Art Metallic. The first is Peacock, it says on just from memory here. And I didn't know how it was going to look, you know, on the navy and the white and black hues. And I loved working with different backgrounds. You know, they aren't the same, although I use the same colors, but they're all different. And then I got real experimental with the spongy things and went to town on making all kinds of, doesn't that look pretty? I always jump in like this, but doesn't that look pretty? To have the white at the upper right swooping down like that. I can't read. I don't think I used, no, I kept to the light colors on the bottom left. And here's my circles. They're so sticky. It's wonderful. It sticks right on there. And yeah, that full sheet, I think that full sheet when I went to Michael's back in the day was $39.99. It was expensive for these things. And then it went on sale for, I think it was $6.99 for that whole pack. And so I halved it. And I sent half to a friend. And I kept the other half as circles. And I thought one day I'll use them for something. And look at this. It came to life right here. Just, but you know, turn a glass around. Turn anything you have on your table that's circular. Just put it down on your card base, your canvas there, and trace it out, and look what you have, Christmas bulbs. So pretty. And I think if I had this one, I'm practicing there just a little bit to see what the metallic looks like on the cardstock. And I really did love the color of this, you know, this peacock. And I love the metallic. And it's not taking a lot of layers. And I'm adding some little dots. If I had to do this again, I would have put some clear bokeh circles, larger ones. I used quite a bit of small circles on this card. I'm happy with it, but I would have just put a few, maybe that size, the one that I'm doing there, in the background with white. You know, there it is there. Wow, did you catch that? Was that fast or what? But like I said, I will get that one on my blog. Now here is that Sukaniko beautiful frost white in number 72. It says all-purpose ink. I think I got this at Mike. I don't know. I could have got that online. I don't want to say. I'll look it up. I thought I would just test it. Look how quick it dried too. That was another thing. Although my lighting is very warm, it's hot, you know, blazing down there, so it doesn't take that long to dry. I'll just blast it with my heat gun, and here we go. So I did diamond shapes on this one, 3 rounds and a diamond. Is it 3 or 2? No, 2 rounds and a diamond. Isn't that pretty? And I just love the fact that the acrylic paint takes to the pen, to the Uniball Signal white broad tip gel pen. I mean, it's wonderful. I don't think it's gel. I don't know what it is, but it's those white pens that you end up having to get 52 of them because I just seem to use them up so fast on projects. It's good to have for snow or brush lettering. Now here I am practicing really light to do some brush lettering in Merry Christmas. Now, this is where I thought, okay, Merry wasn't that bad. And then on the downstrokes, I just make them thicker. And then when I did Christmas, if I had to do it again, I would have the CH, I would have made smaller because you can tell I was struggling to get that AS at the end, the MAS. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try the white eraser, and look at that. It was just coming up off of there. But you can see that the brush lettering, the strokes are wider for the CHR, and then I was fighting for space on the end of it, but that's okay. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to experiment with the pen, the Signal pen, for the tops of the bulbs. And look how beautiful and white that was. So, you know, you can use your acrylic paints, and then, like I said right here, just grab your Signo pen and do a little bit of brush lettering. So let's see what we're going to do here. Okay, I'm going to stick with, I think I'm going to stick with the same font that I like here for the Mary. Oh no, I did change it up to more of a block E. I just play around, whatever looks good, you know. And then in the bottom circle there, you can tell I filled that in. So I went back with my cutting knife and I just picked away at it until it looked right. And the down strokes are thick and the up strokes are thin. That's all you have to remember. And it, you know, there it is. I got out, and it came right off. I'm like, this is wonderful. The eraser and then my cutting blade. Yeah. And then you don't want to keep going back on your up strokes, because before long they look like down strokes because you get so thick, right? So yeah, just let's start on the C here for Christmas. I'm trying to get it so I tend to make it too fat at the beginning. But here I did more of drop letters, I call it. When you drop your larger letters, like your H, your T, you keep your R, you don't drop it as much. You make your S's higher, you drop your T, and then you thicken up your downstroke, and it works really nice. See how the downstroke is thick? And try not to go back, because that's where you make your mistake, because you end up with all thick lines. There's my little knife. Oh yeah, I'm so happy it started to snow. And then clean it up after. You can just sit there and stare at it. But I had to remember I want to make some patterns on the bulbs. So I thought holly. I think I'm going to do some holly on this one. And I love the white with the black and the red. I didn't mind the brush lettering on this. And mind you, this is the last card, so I was feeling a lot more confident with working with this card base. It wasn't as stressful. And then I got to experiment with the beads there. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to do the beads, but I'm going to round the beads. I'm going to do tiny beads and then round them so that it looks bulbous, you know, it looks circular and pretty. So that's what I did. You just have to watch it here. I think I did it in my Prisma white pencil first. That way I could erase it with the eraser if it didn't work out. And then just go over it with the dots, and I found that really pretty. You can tell it didn't meet up on the left a little bit. So what I did was I made the round balls there, the circles, I made them fatter. And then it seemed to work out. There's always the solution, isn't there? There's, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. And then I thought, okay, if I go over the outside, that's going to help it not to look so empty on the outer circle of the bulb. And there, I was so happy with that. I just thought it was really pretty. And yeah, so then we're going to hurry and finish up. I'm going to make another topper for my bulb. And it's so pretty because you can make all kinds of designs. I was really having fun with this. Thank you, Jane, for this inspiration. I think Jane did this painting last year, actually. I was just looking on Jane's site and I saw this and I thought, oh, I'm going to watch this. And I was so inspired to make some Christmas cards and to do the inside, not only the outside, but I wanted to give you some options to create cards from the inside of the cards that I do here. So it ends up to be 6 cards. And I've got myself down to an hour and 15 minutes. At first it was an hour and 33 minutes, I think. So I was trying to push the envelope and get it as far, you know, try to keep the time down for you. But at the same time, I like to show you what I'm doing. I don't like to speed it up too much. And I like to yak. So that's what I'm doing with you here. We're doing a little bit of yakking. and a little bit of creating, a little time of fellowship and all that good stuff. And here I'm just adding a nice little frill on the bottom. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed these Christmas cards. And they're 6x6, so you can just take out your envelope maker and make some pretty envelopes for them. And do a bulb, you know, make a round bulb, and that's where you can address it. I may do a tutorial, and I have so much to sitting here that I want to get done. And I actually have been asked to be in a blog hop for a friend, and I'm gonna, my friend has, we met when we were both design team members for my bestie and Sherry Baldy. I think I created for Sherry Baldy, Miss Sherry Baldy, for a year. And I met Jamie there, and now she's celebrating 10,000 subscribers on her channel. Yay! I'm so happy for you, Jamie. I'm so excited for you. And she asked me, because we've been friends since then, to join her in the blog hop. So that's coming up. I can't wait for that. And here's where my holly leaves come into play. Yeah, they're a little uneven. You can see that, but I added 3 dots in the middle. And so that kind of helped me there. And don't forget, you can erase it with your eraser. Then, because I did the holly, I decided to do 3 dots on each of the bulbs here. Isn't that a beautiful red acrylic paint? I really love that red. And I like the bokeh circles with the black and the pink. I kind of added the white to it. And here you have it, my friends. There's the second card I did with the peacock color. And you can see that I put the bulbs to the left. And on the red, I put them to the right. And on the first one I made, it is larger, more focused in the center right. Yes, I was going to use that gold shiny paper, but I decided not to. It was an off gold to the gold bokeh circles there. Now here's where I go back with the pen. If you're not satisfied with using your paintbrush or the strokes got too thick, go back with your gel, I call it it's a Signo broad tip pen. I always call it a gel pen, I don't know. But here I'm picking out colors. I went to my stash, and a lot of my, other than the black, I get that. I get the 65 pound and the 110 pound at Michael's in the black, because the 110 is so crazy thick, but I use the 65 pound black. And then I think Stampin' Up, I use mostly Stampin' Up papers here, the 8.5 by 11 sheets. And no, the blue one I got at Michael's. Yes, remember I got that navy blue pack. It's 65 pound. And yeah, so here I have to design on the peacock colored bulbs. I hadn't done that yet, but I like to go back and just, I don't know, just add some little things here and there. And I wanted to match that beautiful lilac color, because some of the bokeh circles have the lilac color in it. And some of the strokes for the background of the paper has lilac, so I thought that was pretty. And then all of them, I'm pretty sure, they're right behind me. I think the peacock one has a white background, like as that I'm piling up all of the layers on. That has 5 layers. And then I did a beautiful gray color on the first card, the one that looks like glass bulbs. I put the background in gray, and then the red one I put in white. So it was white, blue, black, red, blue. And the gray was gray, black, white, navy, lilac, and then the actual painting. And then I did, I stopped there for a minute. I don't know what happened. The peacock one, I did white, lilac, black, turquoise, and then the painting, the canvas. So I just wanted to share with you. I really worked hard at getting the right colors to, you know, to make it look. I didn't want to add too many dies and make the patterns on the outside. I want it to look like a painting. So I stuck with a plain look here, as you can see. I just did the layers. I layered up nice and thick and heavy, the way I like it. I layered it all up, and then I really sped it up too, didn't I? Yeah, isn't that pretty? So pretty. This is the first card, and remember I ran it through my 9-inch Xyron, so you want to press down on the back of that so the glue sticks to the canvas. And then I went to my stash and I saw this round circle die. I just loved it. But you know what the funny thing was? It doesn't have a cut on the outside. It only cuts out the center and the guts all fall out. You'll see it. I was so surprised. And here's my fourth. This is for the inside of the card. I kept this to make bulbs. I wanted one bulb design on the inside of each card. So you can see how it just cut the center out. Yeah, and left me, I love the design of it. I bought this maybe 3 years ago, never opened it up. I love going to the stash. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get out my circular dies and just go around it to cut it out. And then I'm going to add, I think I added silver. Yes, I did. I die cut another round circular like this one, and I took the guts out, and I added the silver to the inside of that when we get around to design the inside of the card there. So that's what I did. I tried to get as many circles as I could out of this one painted background. And then we're going to move forward and we're going to design. There they are. Oh yeah. You can tell I need to organize the inside of that, can't ya? There's the gray. There's the nice gray. That's a 4-pack of grays at Michael's cardstock. So I really liked it. It was so thick. It was crazy. It was a really nice paper. So I have this roll. I think it's 5 inches. 5-inch roll I used on that one. Then I took some of this beautiful silver-backed paper that my friend Tina gave me. We exchanged some product. I think I gave her something and she gave me that. And then I went to my stash and grabbed my Spellbinder dies. I wanted to do a pretty background, and this had holly on it. So that was just perfect. Now, I took out I think this is the largest on this one. I end up going to, I think I used Spellbinders for each of the insides of my cards, I'm pretty sure. I die cut this one in black because it went so well, and it's a 65-pound black. Has a pretty bow and the lilacs. It's intricate with the filigree around there. I thought it was very pretty to add. I just wanted to pretty up the inside because the outside was so nice having the bulbs like that. So I used the liquid glue here and yeah, just clean it up with a baby wipe. I think I used up all my baby wipes on this project. I have to head to Costco and get me a box of them. And there you have it. This is why I use the black, because that cutout circle from the background, the blue, it looked like I painted it on here. I couldn't believe how beautiful it looked. And isn't that, I love this die. I don't even think I've ever used this die. Spellbinders had a sale on a few years ago with 60-70% off their dies, and I scooped up bought some real pretty ones. Now look at, doesn't that match? I wanted to put the word joy in brush lettering, so I was satisfied with that. I thought I'd do it light first because then I could use the white eraser if it was light, you know? And like I say, your downstrokes are thick and your upstrokes are thin. And it's no, you know, it's just experimenting with your handwriting and then thickening up your strokes. And I was really happy with the inside of this card. Nothing to it. You die cut this Spellbinder die. Then I went around it with a silver Pilot pen I had just bought. At my stationery store, you know, the kind you shake, it's all liquidy on the inside, but it was super fine. Now I cut off the topper with the silver paper that's in the background there, and for the top. And then I had some twine, some of that stretchy cord in my stash that I put on the top of it. And now I'm going to just put a little pattern on the bulb. And I really think it looks like I just painted it right on that black. It was crazy. And look how easy it is. Just 3 little dots all the way around. Put your highlights, your 2 highlight strokes on there, because I wanted it to look more glassy, you know. And I love the way that the ink, oh, look at my big head getting in there, sorry. I like the way it's darker on the right and lighter on the left. Oh, sorry about that. I must have just got an email. And yeah, so here's that new Pilot pen. I love it. You just have to shake it, because it's all liquidy inside, and then tap down on it. And look at how beautiful that comes out, and it's extra fine. The tip is extra fine. It really is extra fine. And then I use the white, and that's all. There it is, the silver Pilot pen. I'm going so fast, I apologize for that. I just tried to not make it, you know, really long. Now here I'm making my own card base. I did this with the wedding paper. You know that wedding paper I got at Michael's with that beautiful kind of gray, or excuse me, gold fleck behind it? I had one with silver fleck and one with gold. I'm not really sure which I used on this. I think it was silver because I had no gold in there. Then I noticed I set it too far to the left, so I just cut her down. And here is that die. Now remember, I ran this through my Xyron. Okay, it's all sticky on the back. So I thought, okay, I put the circle on the outside. And this, I'll leave the link to this. I think you can still get this die. And then I cut it out as well as I could to, you know, because I didn't have a die that was the exact measurement of the black outside of the cardstock. So I just cut it down, and we're going to put it on there. And let me see here as I'm talking. I'm going to see what that ended up. Yeah, I ended up doing that just by itself. But what I did was I took the die and I cut it again, as you can see, and I'm filling in the inner guts with the silver from the silver paper. And then I decided, okay, I am going to do another one identical to the mauve, the purple one there, but I'm going to do it in silver, and then I'm going to cattywampus it, just turn it a bit so that the stripes go one way and the other way. Oh, it's so pretty, you know. Yeah, and so here I'm just filling in the inside, and then we're going to make one in silver and turn it around. I think I ran it through the Xyron. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I did these cards last week. There it is right there. See how it doesn't cut the outside? It just cuts the holes on the inside. I love that. So I just went around it with my good scissors that I shouldn't be using on paper because that's my material scissors. But, oh well. And then I turned it. See? I just gave it a little twist. I love the look of it. It seemed to move, you know, when you moved the card base. It was so pretty. Then I did the silver topper. Then I had the silver boing boing thing for the top of it. Yeah, it's so shiny. Isn't that pretty? And then I put the top of the bulb on there, and then I put the boing boing thread on the top of the bulb, and I was super happy with it. And then I used my the Sticky Stuff black circular stickies here. I didn't need that on my last link. I have to make sure to remember the Sticky Stuff store. And you get these, you know, double-sided, really sticky tape. And it's not really high, too. It's a lower, here I'm just looking for the string. I picked that one. Yeah, I think I did use that one. I couldn't use these scissors because they're so dull. I had to go to my good scissors. Oh, it hurts just to watch me do that. Now I'm going to put the string on the top just with a little bit of glue on each end. I love the silver of it all, and then to have the matching background behind the bulb there, the pattern, how we turned it like that. It was really nice, and you can see how you can use this for just your cards. You could do a set of 6, you know. Here I was practicing, I was going to put this on the card, like just, and I thought, no, I turned it over and I thought, okay, what about I change it up? And I thought, no, I really didn't, I remembered, yeah, yeah, and then I'm going, okay, should I just print it and go this route and cut it out? And, but anyway, I had a die sitting to the left of me that said Merry Christmas. I loved the font. It was really, it wasn't a huge die. It was just nice. It actually was pretty close to my own font, my own brush lettering. But it was a beautiful die, so I took out, remember these papers that I had in the Xyron that I had to the side? And I used the die that said Merry Christmas, and I put it on the red cardstock with the silver bulb, and I was really happy with that. Look at that. So I have Christmas. I turned it to the side, the opposite side of the way that my silver paper went, just so it really stuck out. I'm taking the glue off here and whatever else stuck to it. And that's it for the inside, but I really do think it looks really good as the outside of the card for Christmas cards. And it doesn't have to be 6 by 6, you know. It has to be pretty close because you can see that's a big die, that circular die that cuts out. But I think you get away with 5 by 5, a 5 by 5 inch card would be nice. And then we're going to move on to the peacock colored inside. So that does that card. That one's finished. I set that aside, and now I'm moving on to the peacock and adding some glue. Yes. And then I thought, oh, why don't I just practice my brush lettering? Yeah, there you go. And you can always get practice in on anything, right? I'm going to put this down on my white. This is my 140-pound cardstock. That's why when it did the fold there, when I created the background for it, it did have some cracks in it, but I was okay with it. It's fine. I think it looks well. And this is the inside now of that. Oh yes, Merry Christmas. Practice, practice. And we're going to create the insides of the cards, and I really appreciate you joining me for this journey. Thank you to Painting with Jane, of course, for the inspiration. And yeah, we're going to move along and create with this one. So I thought, okay, I want to have that blue like the outside, right? So I wanted to add that because it went with the circle of the actual acrylic painting front on the canvas. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to my, there it is. I grabbed another die from Spellbinders. Isn't this beautiful? Oh, I don't use them enough. And I thought, no, that one's too big. We have to move down and go to the one down. But it was lovely. And I got just the right amount of that blue, because the turquoise and the blue, they really don't, you know, they don't coincide. Like, they really, I don't know, they're just two colors I wouldn't generally use together. But when I did this, and then I put my backing on with the canvas here, the round circle, I thought this is perfect. And then I went back to my stash and I had some King James Bible verse stamps with the word on it, and I loved it. I thought, no, I am not touching this with my own brush lettering. I'm going to use the beautiful stamp set that I have, and I will leave the link to it. It's just a wonderful stamp set, and we will move. It says on the, let me get it out here. on the bulb, see, I was going to use my own brush lettering, but it says Jesus is the reason for the season on the one stamp. Oh, I'm going around it with little lines all the way around. And yeah, I had to use, make sure you have something underneath your hand and your arm, because the oils off of your skin will show up on your cardstock, most likely. And yeah, isn't that pretty? It just, oh, I don't know why, I just like it. So I was going to put sharing the love of Christ in just my handwriting. I was going to do a little bit of brush lettering on the strokes going down, but it took up too much of the space. So I thought, no, I'm going to my stash. Yeah, see what I mean? It was too wide. So I thought, oh, I'll just play around and see how it looks. But I ended up using my stamps, and it says Jesus is the reason for the season inside the bulb. And then it says, may your heart be filled with the true spirit of Christmas. And that was on the right hand side, and I just love it. There it is, sweet and sassy, and it's sharing the love of Christ through paper crafting. Isn't that beautiful? Yes, I bought 3 or 4 sets of these. I just love it. I love the fact it's King James verses, from the King James Bible verses, so that's nice, and on some of the scripture that's in these packs. I love the saying, Jesus is the reason for the season. I have a little pin that I wear on my coat that says that at Christmas time. And then I put them on my nice Fiskar stamp press with my LDRS Creative clear ink. And I was so thankful, because I didn't use any powder. I forgot to put my powder down before I put my silver embossing powder. This is Ranger, and I spilt it all over, of course. You can see it there. It went over on my card, it went on my desk, but that's okay, I do it all the time. I'm used to it. And then I'm going to heat set that, and I'm going to put some, see how pretty that is? I love watching it set like this. Look at that. It's beautiful. Look at the font on that. May your heart be filled with the true spirit of Christmas. Isn't that a beautiful font? And I love the thick font. I didn't put powder down, so you can see a little strays there, but I don't mind it. I tried to get it off with a knife, but I didn't want to flick up any of the acrylic paint. So I thought, no, just leave it. Just leave it just like that. And then I added some glue, and I put my little bling bling silver thread here. So I had the topper on it. Oh yeah, you have to be so careful. You don't ooze out too much glue. And I was super duper happy with that. And then we're finishing up, my friends. There's not a better way to end this than with some scripture. And thank you so much for joining me today. You have yourself a blessed week. I hope my American friends had a wonderful Thanksgiving on your weekend. We celebrated our Thanksgiving in October. And thank you. Thank you for sharing and carrying my tutorials. Thank you to Jane. And I will see you on the next tutorial. There you have it. And I just want to say, see you later till the next tutorial.